This is Gemara Sanhedrin, Daf Lamed Hey, and today's shir is dedicated as an incredible schos, Aliyas Neshama for Yosef ben Nachman Chaim Halevi, whose yahrzeit was yesterday on Chaf Teves. Today this daf is being recorded. B'siyata the Shemaya, the Koyach HaTorah should bring Yosef ben Nachman Chaim Halevi an incredible Aliyas Neshama, as well as all this year of the month of Teves has been dedicated as a schos Aliyas Neshama for our Leib and Rav Yaakov V'siyata D'Shmaya. The Koyach HaTorah should continue elevating this Heilig Neshama closer to the Kisei HaKavod. And finally, we like to dedicate all the Torah as a schos Refuah Shalema for Tinoik ben Miriam Ahuva B'Seich Sha'ar Chayei Yisrael. We're holding at the bottom of Lamidalid Amid Beis. We are 3 lines from the bottom. It says the Gemara, Danin Dine Nefasha is Danin Bayayim. We continue quoting the Mishnah that taught us that Dine Nefasha is capital crimes are tried by Yom by day. Says the Gemara, Menahani Mili, if we know this, our Mamra of Simi Barachia, Amar Kra, says the Pasuk. Ve'hoikeya oisam la'Hashem neged Hashemesh. And you hang them before Hashem against the sun. What do we see from over here? We see that the hanging, that the Dine Nefashos has to be neged Hashemesh during the daytime. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Chist on the last line of Lamadalit Amid Beis. Menayim lo'hoikeya shehi taliyah. How do you know that this word lo'hoikeya means taliyah hanging? The pasuk says, "V'okanum la'Hashem," they give out to Shaul. Bechir Hashem will hang them, the sons of Shaul, the Bechir Yisrael, the chosen of Klal Yisrael. As we turn over to Lamed Hey Amid Aleph, it continues the Gemara. So where do we see from this pasuk that this word haika means to hang? Says the Gemara, Uksev. And we have another pasuk that says, "Vatikach oritzba bas aya." And Ritzba bas aya took his sack, the sack. Vatiteu la elatzur mitzchilas kotzir. And she spread it over herself over the rock for the beginning of the harvest. And what do we see? And she didn't allow the birds to rest upon them. The pasuk continues. She didn't allow the animals to prey upon them. Continues the pasuk. So from here we see that the bodies were sitting there hanging, and she came to protect the dignity of them. And from there we see that indeed the word taika means to hang. Uksev continues the Gemara. Another pasuk that says, no, one more time. Hashem said to Moshe, take all the Rashi Ha'am. And if we look at the pasuk, let's get the pasuk up over here. The pasuk on the side of your Gemara, number 2. Kach is called Rashi Ha'am. V'hoika isam la'Hashem neged Hashemesh. This is the pasuk that we quoted on Amud Aleph to show us that Hoika, they hung them. And where does hanging apply? Neged Hashemesh. But says the Gemara, back into Gemara, Imam Chatu, if the people were the ones that did this Aveira, Rashi Chatu, what was the Aveira of the Rashi? Why are the Rashi being punished for an Aveira of the people? Amar Rav Yehuda Merav teaches Rav Yehuda Merav, Amar like Kadosh Baruch Hu Moshe, Chalak lahem batei dinim. What we learn from this pasuk is not that they actually were punished, but rather divide for them, chalak for him batei dinim, and then those who were oived the avodah of Par should be killed, and then taika hang them up to the sun. My time. Says the Gemara, what is the reason that multiple batei dinim are needed? Ilim lisham, if it's because shein danim shnayim b'yom echad. If the reason is because we're never going to have 2 capital cases in one court in one day, but that's not true. This aside that we don't don multiple capital crimes, it's only if it's 2 different misais. But one, a death penalty, we would yes give. So says the Gemara, Kadesh Yashal Charan Af Mi Yisrael. Rather, says the Gemara, the reason is so that the Charoinaf, that the anger of Hashem could be removed from Klal Yisrael. That's the end of the pasuk, and therefore, if there was a movement a joint effort by many Batei Dinim to calm the anger of Hashem. By what? By finding all the people that committed these terrible crimes and were Ovid of a Desire. It was a way that Hashem would be Yoshev Charainaf. Hashem would be calmed down when all those who worshipped Avodah Zarah were taken care of. We continue 12 lines down to the two dots. Amanei Amanalef Dinei Ma'amanis Kaimrim Bai Bayayim have to be finished on the same day. Says the Gemara. Whereas when it comes to Din Nefashos, the Gemara din has to be one day, only if we're being mezaka them. But if we're being mechayev one of them, if we're pasking someone as chayim misa, convicting them, that could be the next day. Says the Gemara, immediately where do we know this from? Amar Rav Chanina Damar Kra, the pasuk says, Milei Asi Mishpat Tzedek Yalin Bavatam Raschin. Says the pasuk, Yerushalayim is full of din, and tzedakah was in it, but now it has meraschim. Rav Amar Me'acha Ashrei Chamutz encourages one that is chamutz, which is oppressed. And from here we learn out Ashru Dayon Shemechametz Es Dinoi. Encourage a judge who delays the judgment. For we see that everything should be done timely on the same day. Ve'idach Ashrei Chamutz L'Cham V'Lo'Chaymutz. And the other mandam, the first mandam, learned out from this pasuk, encourage the chamutz, the victim, but not the thief. Vidach Chayim Malesi Mishpat My Avid Le. What do you do with the other pasuk? Rav Elazar Rav Yitzchak. Rav Elazar Amar Rav Yitzchak explains the Gemara called Tainis Shemalinin Boyes Asidaka Ki'ilu Shoifech Damim. Learns out a completely different din that on a Tainis, if we're malinim, if we delay in giving tzedakah, it's as if blood is shed. Shenemar, the pasuk says, "Malisi mishvat tzedek v'goymer," that charity has to be on the same day, sukkah has to be on the same day, and if not, it's to be considered like shvichas tamim. Says the Gemara, "V'hani mili berifta v'tamri," is applying to a place in which, what do they give out? What was the tzedakah that they gave out? Rifta and tamri. They give out things that are ready to eat. So if they didn't give out these foods to the aniyim on a fast day, then it was considered like shvichas damim. Avol bezuzi chiti usairi leslan ba. But if it's a place that they gave out not ready cooked foods, then it's not a problem. Why? Because clearly the aniyim won't be saimech on it, waiting for it, because they know that what they're getting anyways is not prepared, and therefore would not be a problem to wait to the next day to give it to them. And we continue, we're smacking at the two dots. Lefikach ein danim, says the Gemara, quoting the Mishnah, trials are not held on the Erev Shabbos or Erev Yantif. Why? Because we have to have the appropriate time to finish and convict if need be, etc. My time on Mishabdoyev. Says the Gemara, you know the reason is because it's not possible to find the time to render a verdict. But why not? Because says the Gemara, Hechi Levin, what are you going to do? Laidino b'mali Shabbat. We bring him to Bezin on Friday. Now what do you want to do? And you want to paskin on Friday. Says the Gemara, maybe indeed there's going to be a reason they want to convict him. And the halacha is, and they're going to have to wait overnight, because you cannot convict until you have the night in between. And therefore, so for that you can't do because it's Shabbos. So says the Gemara, maybe we should try him on Friday, b'Shabbos, and wait, maybe we'll paskin on Shabbos. And what? And then we're going to have to execute him on Shabbos. Says the Gemara, it can't be in Ritzicha Deichas Shabbos. Even though this is a Misa Bezdin, it's not Deichas Shabbos. Says the Gemara, okay, maybe we should execute him after Shabbos on Motzei Shabbos. Neged Shabbos Vinim has to be by day. V'legmer Ladina b'Shabbat. Says the Gemara, okay, let's try something else. Let's paskin on Shabbos. And perform the execution on Sunday. Says can't do that either. Why? Because then it comes out that you're postponing, causing agony, waiting for the next day for the execution. Says the Gemara, okay, let's try something else. Why can they start the court case on Friday and finish it on Sunday? Says the Gemara, Minshu Taimayu. You know why? Because the judges, that the enemy might forget the nuances of the case over Shabbos. Even though the Shnei Sefer had the Yonim Oimdim Lefneim, even though there were the scribes, even though every Bezdin had those that were writing down all the details, and therefore the Dayanim could just read it over and make sure, and be reminded of that which they said. However, says the Gemara, it's true, they write down the spoken words, but the Dayanim might not remember what is in their heart of hearts. And we see really the care that is required for a Dinei Nefashos, as the Gemara goes to such length to ensure absolute perfection in the Din Torah. Once we're on the topic of Shabbos, says the Gemara, we just said a moment ago that Ritzichas of Shabbos is not Deicha. Ritzicha is not Deicha Shabbos. Says the Gemara, Rish Lakish Rav Yochanan. Says Rish Lakish Rav Yochanan, take Kavuras Meis Mitzvah Deicha Shabbos. Let the Kavura of a Meis Mitzvah being when there's no one else to bury the body, that should be Deicha Shabbos Mikal V'Chaimer. Uma Avoida, when it comes to the Avoida Beis Hamikdash Deicha Shabbos, Kavuras Meis Mitzvah Deicha Isa. We know that Avoida Karbanos are yes done in Shabbos, and yet what is the halacha of the Meis Mitzvah? Meis Mitzvah pushes away the Avodah. Where do we know this from? We know this from the Joshua of Vila Chaisai. Explains the Gemara Kedetanya. He says the pasuk that when someone becomes a Nazir, he cannot become Tamei to any of his Shivim Karayvim. Matam Alaymer. Notice teaching me. He's on his way to Shechle Karban's Pesach, or he's on the way to perform Mila on his son. If it sounds familiar, we had this in many Gemaras already. Says the Gemaras, we turn over to Lamed Mebis. And on the road, what happens? Vishama Shemis Lemeis. And he hears Rachman al-Itzlan that one of his Shivim Krivim were Nifter. Yachlatame, you would think that maybe she metame himself and bury the body. Amrit loy yitame. Yach, you would think she's in metame lachaisai, just like he's not metame to his sister. Kachin metame lemeis mitzvah. So you think maybe as well he's not metame to a meis mitzvah. Tamalai Mer says the pasuk, no. Vili achaisai lachaisai udeina metame. Metame lemeis mitzvah. But yes, metame tameis mitzvah. So that's so on the way lishchet es pischai, and he realized that he's meis lemeis. The halacha is he's yes metame the meis mitzvah. So says the Gemara, we see from over here the meis mitzvah is doichem the avoida, and therefore explains the Gemara 5 lines down. Lamedeya mebeis Shabbos shenilcham the avoida in a din. Kvuras meets mitzvah doicha isa. Shabbos is pushed away for the avodah, meaning you could do quote unquote malacha when it comes to doing the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash. So certainly kvuras meets mitzvah, if it's doicha the avodah should also be doicha Shabbos. Amar lei. So Rabbi Yochanan says back to Rish Lakish, no. You know why? Because of our din. Ritzicha doichiach. Ritzicha is going to prove us that what? Shedoicha is avodah. It is doicha avodah, and yet ve'enoi doicha is a Shabbos, and yet it is not doicha Shabbos, and therefore it's true that burying a dead body will override, will be doicha avodah, but it still will not be doicha Shabbos. Says the Gemara, let's circle back around. Ritzicha gufa tilcha as a Shabbos mikal v'chaimer. Says, wait! Why are you assuming you're correct? Ritzicha itself should be doicha Shabbos mikal v'chaimer. That what? Ma avoida shedoicha as a Shabbos. The avoida is doicha Shabbos. Ritzicha doicha isa. And Ritzicha is doicha avoida. Shneimar the pasuk says, Mim mizbachi tikochenu lamos. So Shabbos and Nilchus Avodah in Adin Shadei Ritzicha Deicha Isa. So ask the Gemara fundamentally on our halacha, why is Ritzicha not Deicha Shabbos? Why is an execution of Bezdin Doicha Shabbos, Amar Rava, Kfar Poska, Tanit Ve'er Yishmael. Tanit Ve'er Yishmael is already determined that what? The Tanit Ve'er Yishmael. What's supposed to tell me about you now to make a fire? Either Rabbi Yosi, Lilav, it's telling me there's a lav of lighting a fire yatzis. Either Ram Nasa and the Chalik yatzis, telling us that it's a separate malacha. Kiritanya, bring us back to Gemara Shabbos days. Havara Lilav yatzis, Divi Rabbi Yosi. Rosi learns that Lusevaru Ish comes teaches the lav, Ram Nasa and the Chalik yatzis. Elamarava, Tana, Mevish voice. Kashalei vishvais. Rather says Rava, Tana Moishavos Kashalei. Moishavos is shver. Moishavos matam mar. Why does the pasuk lo svaru eish b'chol moishvaisechem? What's that extra word Moishavos teaching us? Matam loy mechti. Shabbos is chayvus aguf. Even chayvus aguf noeg is being ba'aretz, being b'chutz la'aretz, and a chayvus aguf is noeg both in Eretz Yisrael and chutz la'aretz. So why does the pasuk say lo sevar reish b'chol moish v'yiseichem? Of course, Shabbos is a chayvus aguf, so of course it's shaykh everywhere. Says the Gemara, Misham Rabbi Yishmael. You know why? The reason is Misham Rabbi Yishmael Amar Talmud Echa Lefi Shenemar. The pasuk says Ki yeh beish chait mishvan maves. The pasuk says if it will be someone commits a crime worthy of death, v'humas, and he'll be put to death. Shamei ani. From here we learn out bein b'chol bein b'Shabbos one can be put to death. V'amani mekayim. So what do we do with the pasuk? Mechaleleho mois yumas. What do we do with the pasuk that says mechaleleho? One who profanes Shabbos will be put to death. V'shar melachos. About all other melachos. Chot memisas bezdin. So about all other laws, all other melachos aside for misas bezdin, or maybe elafilu misas bezdin. Umani mekayim v'humas b'chol avaloi b'Shabbos. Oh, yeah, you know a third option, elafilu b'Shabbos. So because of this suffix, Ta'amuloi mar what? Lo yisvaru ish where? B'chol moish v'yiseichem. That's what B'chol moish v'yiseichem is teaching us that what? Ulalon oimer, we have another passage that says, Vayu eile lachem b'chukas mishva l'doyro yiseichem. B'chol moish v'yiseichem. So we have two psukim that use this word moish v'yiseichem. From here we learn out, Ma Moshavos Amar Lahalon Bezdin, Av Moshavos Amar Kan Bezdin. Just like one is talking about Bezdin, the other one is also talking about Bezdin. For the extra word of Moshavos, what do we see? We see that even though we have a mitzvah to kill the Reitzeach, Lemaisa Bezdin would not be able to do it on Shabbos. And that is the pasuk Midaraisa Tanit Ve'er Yishmael that teaches us that Ritzicha is not Deiche Shabbos. Of Amar Nachman lo svareish b'chol moish v'yiseichem. Amar Abaye says Abaye on related halacha hasha d'amar in Ritzicha Deiches Shabbos. Ein Ritzicha Deiches Avoda. Mikal v'chaymer. Once you're going to tell me that Ritzicha is not Deiche Shabbos, you could say that Ritzicha is not Deiche Avoda Mikal v'chaymer. That what? Uma Shabbos shenidchas b'nei Avoda. Just like Shabbos is not pushed away for the Avodah. Ma Shabbos excuse me, opposite. Ma Shabbos yes nidchas b'nei Avodah yet in Ritzicha Dechaisa. Avodah she doichas a Shabbos. Ein idea sheloit in Ritzicha Dechaisa. So Ritzicha should not be deicha. The Avodah Gemara flips it around. Meaning once you have a makar that Ritzicha is not deicha Shabbos, it shouldn't be deicha Avodah. That's why we do the pasuk. I hold a carbon yachid l'dachi Shabbos. You know, we learn out that's only about a carbon yachid. Carbon yachid avadi you can't bring in Shabbos. The only carbon you can bring in Shabbos is the carbon sibor. Fine. Carbon yachid you cannot. And then it works out that's why Ritzicha is not doicha Shabbos. It's yes doicha the avodah. And we'll pick it up from over here as Rav will continue on this theme in Mir Tashem in the next year.